And joining me now to talk more about the crypto world and the steep rise that we've seen is Chris Kline, co-founder and chief operating officer at Bitcoin IRA. Chris, great to have you in studio.
Hey, thanks for having me. Great to see you.
It's great to see you as well. I think probably the biggest news since we last spoke is the Genius Act.
Absolutely.
How does this set up the crypto space?
So this really takes us to a place where we're no longer in the regulatory guessing game, and we've got the guardrails that we're looking for. I think it's going to really springboard. It's basically creating the rails that we need for us to this financial digital revolution that's taking place. You see a huge wave of institutional adoption coming as a result of this. I was just in board meetings and at some major banks on the West Coast last week, and this is the topic of choice, especially stablecoins.
Interesting. So cryptocurrency, Bitcoin at least at $118,000 a token. I think its recent high was just above 120,000. What does this mean for that currency going forward?
Well, it definitely means that we're past the 100K. You know, when we saw each other in January, we had just cut through that, and then we posted a pretty rough quarter in the first quarter. This is us bringing back after consolidation, and my prediction as of April was I think we're going to hit 180,000 by the end of this year. You combined the clarity of the legislation, then you've got institutional wave coming, along with ETFs hitting major inflows, breaking records in 375 days of 85 billion, and then you bring the retail wave in, and that's the one that always comes a little bit later in the cycle.
Yep.
And it's kind of this tsunami that will hit, that'll drive us forward.
Okay, so how much of that has been at play, and what is your expectation there?
So the retail play is actually, we just had the Bitcoin conference in Vegas in May, and I was joking, if you know the movie Ocean's 12,
yeah,
where they're trying to get everybody to leave the casino,
yes,
and so they're like, hit them harder. This price point of 120 wasn't quite enough. I think when you start getting into the 130, 135, that's where people are really going to wake up. There's still, we only have about 3 to 5% adoption of this on the retail side, and as JD Vance said, 100 million Americans will own Bitcoin by the end of the decade. So it's a slow process. We're shifting monetary thought, paradigm shift here. So it's going to take some time, but there's fear and there's greed that comes into this. Fear is a little bit less than it was when we saw each other in January, when inflation seems to be a little bit under control.
Yeah.
Possible surprise rate cut tomorrow, or maybe in the next meeting at the FOMC. Those things will drive consumer confidence. Also a possibility of checks going out as rebates for tariffs. That's kind of a buzz that's happening now. We all know what happened last time we put $1,200 checks in the hands of American people. Here on the Wall Street, as well as in crypto, huge moves on the upside.
Are you anticipating that could happen? We could realistically see rebate checks due to tariffs?
You know, everything starts as a rumor and then it starts to grow from there. I wouldn't be surprised to see the ultimate goal of this administration is to say that this is good for the U.S. economy and the U.S. consumer. That's a pretty great way of showing that. Am I a fan of it? I don't know, but could it actually happen? Possibly. I mean, I would be probably better spent putting in the infrastructure of the country, but who knows where those checks might go.
Okay, so let's talk stable coins,
yes,
because also since we last saw you in January, Circle IPO'd here at the New York Stock Exchange, triple-digit gain in its NYSE debut. What do our viewers need to know about the state of the stablecoin space? Yeah,
so stablecoins are really those rails that are going to help make the traditional and the crypto finance worlds intersect. It'll be huge for institutions because now you're going to have stablecoins where it'll speed up liquidity and settlement issues that they have. There's definitely going to be a competition amongst major banks about who's got the best stablecoin. I've already heard about JP Coin and Wells Coin and these coins, but there's also already existing ones. And for the consumer, so that's really great for the institution. For the consumer, it will take some time, but imagine a future where you're not having to have merchant services providers in between or credit card processors in between e-commerce transactions taking place. That's going to speed things up and save money for the consumer. This is a digital technological revolution happening in the monetary system.
I do want to ask, you mentioned the retail trader obviously getting some exposure to Bitcoin here potentially in the future based on where the price heads. What about retirement platforms and what you're seeing in terms of integration of Bitcoin into retirement portfolios and platforms?
Absolutely. So we've been doing it since 2016. We launched the first Bitcoin retirement account, the Bitcoin IRA. Since then, we've added over 200,000 users. We're up to 14 billion in assets under custody. And now there's legislation, or at least a letter of intent from President Trump, that 401k should be able to put crypto into those. So 401k providers with Biden's administration were actually told by the Department of Labor this is a no-go. This is a 180 shift in that direction. I think you're going to see more of that. And when people people are thinking long-term scarcity, scarcity, scarcity. 21 million Bitcoin will ever exist. They print more than that every day at the Federal Reserve, and more dilution happening, which even if we don't have inflation, we're going to have depreciation of the currency, and there is this fiat sea of storms happening where having a piece of this as a kind of a hedge or a store of value for your long-term retirement savings will be pivotal.
All right, Chris Kline, he's the co-founder and chief operating officer of Bitcoin IRA, joining us with Bitcoin at $118,000 a token. Chris, thank you.
Thank you for having me.